All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order this Thursday, September 28th, Personnel Committee meeting. And I would like to thank all of our attendees for joining us this evening. And we are going to begin the meeting by turning it over to Ms. Tracy Gardner.
Thank you. Now, let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. Can you all see the screen? Very good. Thank you. So, got a couple of things on the agenda. We're going to talk about vacancies, the hiring process, tenure awards, and I'm just going to give you an update on induction, and those are the things on the agenda, as you can see here. Okay. Let me go back. So for our vacancies, currently we have 38 open positions district-wide. We've posted the positions on LinkedIn, Indeed. They're also on Talent Ed and on our website. We've contracted with outside agencies for special education services. We've contracted with STS for per diem substitutes, and we have a large number of vacancies for instructional assistants. So Angie Rice and I are working on hosting an instructional assistant hiring fair so that we can get those vacancies staffed. And here you can just take a look and see where those vacancies are. Alden, Ardmore, Belle Ave, Colwyn, East Lansdowne, Evans, Park Lane, Penwood High, Penwood Middle, Walnut, and district-wide. Again, those instructional assistants are needed district-wide. We have a school psychologist. We're always in need of school safety officers and school social worker.
Okay, so we're going to pause at this time if anyone has any questions in regards to the vacancies at the schools or district-wide. We'll start with our board members. I see 2 hands, Jennifer and then Joy.
Thanks, Ms. Ivory. Ms. Gardner, what are the requirements educationally for an IA? So I know who to look for in my community.
So you have to be highly qualified, like the 60 college credits, or, there's the course that you can take to become highly qualified. And we look to see that you have some experience with kids. That's great. But really the main requirement is the college credits and the highly qualified status.
Great, thank you so much. So 6 college credits.
Ms. Hopkins, you also had your hand raised?
Yes, ma'am. So my first question is, specifically, can you just let us know where are you posting for these positions at? Sure.
LinkedIn, Indeed, our social media sites, and again, we're looking to do a hiring fair specifically for instructional assistants because that's our greatest need. And we want to do more hiring fairs for all positions, but right now, because the instructional assistant is critical, we're targeting that group.
I know Mr. Wright and formerly Mr. Connolly were some kind of site, and you got to forgive me because I don't recall the names because it's been some years, and I'm hoping Jennifer might know what I'm talking about. They were going on different sites posting our openings for us. And I think it is specifically for, related to, school districts. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Jennifer? Any idea? I can't hear you.
Sorry, is that PA REAP you're talking about?
Say that again.
PA REAP, right? Is that the
I-
name of it? Ms.
I think
Woodward?
I think that sounds right. That's about right.
Right, so yeah, I'm familiar with PA REAP. We looked into PA REAP. We'll certainly go back and do another look again. PA REAP is not a site where more people, public schools, that's the word I'm looking for, where public schools advertise, they're more for charter schools. And I mean, we'll be happy to go back and take a look at the cost of that and see what we can get. But it is more so used now for charter schools.
Are we also, I got two more questions and then I'm done. Are we also using, I guess we really can't, honestly. I think I'm just answering my own question. So the question is, are we using the IU for assistance? But I just realized, since I do sit on the IU board, we're looking for people ourselves, So we're that probably may be a conflict of interest. So anyway, to my next question then, you're mentioning the word highly qualified for the IA. What does that mean? I too would like, I think I got a few people that I would like to, for them to apply, but I'm not sure, what does that word highly qualified mean?
So that means that you have more education than just a regular high school diploma. You've done some college credits, 60 college credits. And it's more, you don't have a bachelor's degree necessarily, but you have college credits, and you're considered to be, what's the word? I'm looking for the right word without sounding some kind of way, but it's a little bit, it's more than a high school diploma, not as much as a bachelor's degree, but
Maybe an associate's or more than an associate's.
In that vein, yes.
So have matriculated
Yes.
the up to 60 credits in some areas.
Yes.
So then for that position, they don't necessarily have to be teachers?
For instructional assistants, that's correct, because you're in the classroom with the teacher.
Okay. Thank you.
You're providing some direction to the students. You're helping in maybe some small group instruction there in the classroom.
Yeah,
Questions from anyone in the community? I'm sorry, Jen.
no, I'm sorry. It has a high academic requirement, pretty high for not a lot of money. So in a tight job market, you gotta really want to be an IA to take the gig, because you can do it a lot with an associate's these days. Just one person's opinion.
Thank you. All right. So I don't see any hands raised with our attendees. So Ms. Gardner, you can continue.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the hiring process and how we do things. So if you are an administrator or you're applying for a teaching position, there is a panel interview for you, and the panel consists of the building principal, the assistant principal, HR, the central office administrator, and if it is an administrative position, let me go back. So for teaching positions, those people are on the panel. If it's an administrative position, such as the building principal, the assistant principal, there are board of directors that sit on that panel. Also, there may be teachers, parents, and students that are selected to observe the interviews for positions such as the principal, the assistant principal, the business manager, the HR director. The candidate also meets with the superintendent, who has the final say, and he reserves the right to decline the candidate and maybe, direct that we open the search back up if the candidate is not to his liking. He may direct us to reopen the search. And you can find the process, that's the word I was looking for, the process here. You click on the link here and you can see the process is a whole PDF, and you can read and see how we do things. If it's a support staff position, like a secretary, a school safety officer, an IA, the principal, the assistant principal, supervisor of special education, the supervisor of the vacant position, they serve on the panel. There's also a second interview to further assess the candidate's skills. If we, in the first interview, found that we could not identify a star candidate, if you will, we would do a second interview to further assess the skills and abilities. And again, the superintendent reserves the right to decline a candidate that is recommended for the position, and we would reopen the search if that candidate was not to his liking. Ms. Ivory?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gardner. I had a question. I see Jennifer. I'll let you go, and then I have a question for myself. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So I'm glad under the administrative positions, because I think on bullet 2, the document that you highlighted on page 8 is a little more in depth as to what defines administrators. So maybe we wanted to use that language, because it includes PLC, it includes assistant business manager. Like, I think on page 8, it's a little more broad of a definition for bullet 2. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. I just had one question, or maybe just an opinion. In terms of the third bullet for the teacher, for the parents, was sitting on a few of the interviews, and I don't know if anyone else that has been a part of the interview process. Sometimes it seems to be a challenge to get parents to sit in, and I know we tend to leave that up to the school administrator. But my thought was, is there a way that we could create some type of hyperlink from our HR standpoint to ask for parents that would like to volunteer for interviews? And then that way we could collect a database, so you wouldn't have to wait for the administrator to actually give you the names, and you wouldn't have to, you already have the database yourself of parents that come from those schools. I
like that idea.
I think
I
that's
like-
a good idea.
I like that
More like
idea.
having a pool of parents that you can just pull from.
Correct. I like that idea. Let me see how that would work, and I'm happy to take suggestions. Ms. Ivory, you can talk with your fellow board members and collect suggestions maybe on what the criteria, more than just a parent. Like, so I don't, a parent is fine, but do we want them to do more than just be a parent? Or there's certain things that we're looking for in that observer. So I'm happy to do that. I think this is a great idea.
Maybe in school, some things like that. they're
Yeah.
Engaged.
Right.
So
And other-
my suggestion is to reach out to, and the first place I would go would be home and school.
Yeah.
So the schools, home and school, to start with, those parents that are on, what's the thing called? The Parent Square.
Fair Square.
I would start there next, and then definitely put it out there on our website asking for parent volunteers. And, just put a brief description of what we're looking, what you're looking for, what we're looking for as far as parents are concerned, and the amount of time that it's going to take. When I first started doing these interviews, I didn't realize how much it was going to take. And I think just getting them and letting them know that, this is possibly the amount of time that it takes, each interview takes blah, 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 so many minutes, about approximately. And then we ask for your feedback regarding the candidate. We do ask you to, read their resumes. I think we read them the day of, that kind of stuff. So just getting them the idea of exactly what it is that we do when it comes to these interviews, and to also be honest with them and say, if you are going to volunteer, you have to volunteer your time, and and not just, oh, I'll go to this one but I can't go to this one. We're really asking for a commitment to doing this volunteer work. So, I mean, just to be open and honest with them, that's all. But
Yeah.
I think I would start, the first place would be home and school, because we got some great, volunteers at the home and school level.
But I think we do have to bend on time to expect a parent to give up a full day of pay or a half a day of pay. Like, we might have to look at timing, after school or something like that. And I know that's not easy.
And typically, when parents are involved, we're talking about 2, maybe max 3 candidates, because they're on the second round
Mhm.
before they go to the superintendent. So it's not as, not to say that, but it's not as arduous. We're talking about 2 or 3 hours in comparison when you're doing first and second rounds.
Right. I agree. I just was thinking of it, because I know a lot of parents cannot make it up to the schools, so they don't know the administrators in the buildings.
Mhm.
And when we're tasked with including parents, we tend to have the administrator call on the one that happens to be in the building. I just thought if we open it up district-wide, it would allow parents that don't have that hands-on access to the building to still be a part of the community and be a part of the decision-making by being able to give their feedback. So thank you. All right, I see we have one attendee's hand, Miss Jennifer Plum. Can we unmute Miss Plum, please? Good evening, Miss Plum. You're able to talk now. You're still muted. Miss Plum,
Hello.
there you are. Good evening.
Thanks. Hi. I just wanted to chime in really quick as a parent who just sat on interviews for the assistant principal at Ardmore. It was a great experience, and I will certainly talk to other parents about what a wonderful experience I had doing it. I know for me, it made it possible because it was over Zoom. So, I don't know if that's going to be something you guys are going to continue to do, but I do think Zoom in that case is sometimes for parents makes it a little bit easier for them to be involved in it. So that's it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
And we have Miss Gavin, she put in the chat, she said she'd love to partner with us, and she said she had the opportunity to sit in on the AP interviews at Ardmore, and it was all day for one day, and I couldn't make the first day, but I'm very privileged to have the PTO. So to speak to everyone's sentiment that yes, it can be a challenge, it is a commitment, but we appreciate everyone that's able to make that time and sacrifice to participate, because it makes a difference with building a relationship. All right, Ms. Gardner, you may continue.
Okay. So we have 4 employees that are going to be awarded tenure awards, and they'll be recognized at the October 2023 board meeting. But in order to gain tenure, you must have 3 years of continuous service in the district. You must be in possession of a level 1, your temporary certificate. You'll need that. Also, you'll need to have been rated satisfactory during the last 4 months of employment, and last 4 months prior to obtaining tenure, and once you have met all of those requirements, it's granted automatically. It's not something that the employee has to ask for. We're actively monitoring that and making sure that those employees are recognized.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments in regards to our tenure award process? Jennifer? No? Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask, then I wasn't gonna ask.
Go ahead.
Just for clarity, our 10-year process is just like everyone else's, every other school district's 10-year process. Is that correct?
That is correct. And once you get tenure, it's, you can use it in the Commonwealth. Like, so if someone were to get tenure in William Penn and leave and go to another school district, they would not need to do an induction program or any of those other things. They are tenured.
Okay, I do not see any comments or hands raised from the attendees. All right, so we can continue.
Okay, and last, we are going to kick off our induction program, and the induction program is requirement by the state of Pennsylvania for all educators. They need to convert their level 1, their temporary certificate, into an instructional 2, which is otherwise known as a permanent certificate. And induction is a requirement for teachers who have less than 6 years of teaching experience in Pennsylvania. So you can see that our kickoff starts on October 3rd. It runs through May 29th. There's a meeting every month. They are going to be in person at Park Lane Elementary in the afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We do have 3 dates, though, that will be virtual. That will be January, February, and March. But all of the other dates, they will be in person at Park Lane.
Okay. All right, are there any questions or comments about the induction timeframe? All right, seeing none, we can continue.
Okay, Miss Ivory, this is for you to open up for discussion, please.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Gardner, for sharing your presentation with us. Now is the time if anyone has any questions in regards to what we discussed this evening. This is the time to ask any questions you might have about our personnel department. All right, hearing none and seeing none. I would like to thank everyone for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. It is again be posted on the district website, and I will make a reminder at our next board meeting as well. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening and have a wonderful night. Stay warm, stay dry.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Ms.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies, yes, good night.
Good night.